thicker than the bottom ones. One of those things that as I'm working through my trees this spring, if I have thicker trees at the top than I do at the bottom, they get cut off. Just take them off and regrow branches in that area because it just doesn't look right, okay? The second is we want to keep developing that 1 into 2. You know what I mean by 1 into 2? 1 branch into 2 branches, this branch into 2 branches, this branch into 2, and that develops ramification. If you look at that tree that's been defoliated there, that's a ficus that I did nothing but tip prune over the whole of last year. Probably 3 times I did it. And I did it likewise the year before. And it has great ramification, okay? The taper on it is pretty good, going up from the bottom to the top. The branches are thicker at the trunk, and they get thinner as they go out. And it's a whole lot easier to see a tree for what it is when it doesn't have any leaves on it. Now, you can't do that to a Ficus benjamina. If you did that to a Ficus benjamina, you probably would kill it, okay? Unless you left the leaves grow at the tip of every branch. Now, Ficus benjamina requires something out here to draw the sap to it. So if there's nothing out there to draw the sap to it that's growing, the ficus is going to say, I don't need that branch, and nothing gets sent to it, and it's just going to die. So, but Ficus microcarpa, the green island, the green gems, the willow leaf ficuses, the Ficus natalensis, all of the Ficus triangularis, they can all be defoliated because it doesn't have that same draw to the tip. Okay? So we're going to keep working on 1 into 2. Develop and control the apex. The top of the tree is what you look at when you're standing there looking at a tree. Hopefully you look at it from the bottom up, but the apex is the crown of the tree. And you want to develop a nice crown on your tree. Joanne's trying to develop a nice crown on this Schefflera. So it was just wild and woolly. Had like an afro. So she whacked it back, cut it back. Now she's going to hopefully get some back budding on all these branches that she cut the tip down, and she'll fill it in and get a nice crown on it. These trees individually, they have nice crowns on them. So once again, on the long straight ones at the top, you want to cut them back to 2 leaves and develop more ramification. So that's the goal. So we want to keep working on that. You want to avoid long straight branches wherever you can. If you look at that tree that has no leaves on it, there's not a whole lot of long straight branches on it. Almost every branch has a little bend or curve in it. And that's nature at its best. The only time where you see a lot of times long straight branches is in a thick forest environment where trees are shooting up for the light. Now there a lot of times we'll see long straight branches, okay? And in a forest, it's okay. But in bonsai, we don't like it necessarily all that much. Right, Terry? Right. So we want to work on that in your trees. And the final one on that is to remove stronger growth to promote better branching. Sometimes you have a really strong section of a tree up here and a really weak section of a tree down here. Well, the only way to get that tree to respond is to take some of the stuff away from it up here. So some of the energy that was going to the strong area is now going to go to the weak area. Remember, that's kind of the purpose of our pines, is to learn energy management in the tree. This is the top of it, the crown of it. That's the primary area, and it's going to send as much stuff up there as we can. So if we have weak areas, what we do is we pull a lot of needles away from the top and leave the needles down here, and that means this area is going to get more juice, more energy, and it's going to catch up to the stronger area. And that applies the same way when you work your trees, any other species of tree. If you have a weak area on a tree, what you can do is leave the leaves on it and defoliate the strong areas. Okay, so the energy is going to these leaves that are left here, and the new area will put out leaves, but it'll put out smaller leaves. So the idea of defoliating is to create smaller leaves. That's one of the reasons you defoliate. So,
and this is a good time of year to do it?
It is, yes. Once trees start going, once the sap starts moving, it's a good time of the year to do it. And then to do more of the right things at the right time. That's, if you remember, we talked about Mike Lane. He came here as a bonsai artist from down North Fort Myers, and he did a demo for us. And he did it on one of my big ficus microcarpas. And he talked about the bonsai that is described as the art of patience, and he says really it's the art of due diligence. So my goal in the due diligence things are like bug control, repotting, fertilizing, proper light, tip pruning for ramification. Those are the due diligence items. Okay, knowing how to fertilize and when, knowing how to prune and when to repot. There's a right time and a wrong time. So my goal is every meeting I'm going to try and cover one of those areas so that you all get stronger on the basics, okay? And you understand it. So, and then the last thing is get more members in the club. We want to keep growing, okay? It's summertime.